Anus. Happy New Year. I've already said anus on camera. Great. Should we carry on? Denonyms are words we use to relate someone or something to a specific part of the world. For example, if someone is from England, then their demonym is English. Meanwhile, a bird from Albania is called Albanian, and a shoe from Japan will be called Japanese. Denonyms can be used for something as wide as a country, but also can be much smaller in scale too, with there being denonyms for someone from a certain region, like someone from Texas being called Texan, or even just a city with terms like Londoner or New Yorker. While denonyms represent all different parts of the world, they often have similarities with one another. A key thing they have in common is how they end. The correct term for the end of a word is a suffix, and despite how many denonyms there are in the world and language, most of them use a suffix actually derived from a very small pool of choices, at least in English anyway. We definitely do not have the time to look through all the different suffixes in every language ever. But why do we have these suffixes, and where did they even come from? One of the more common of these suffixes are "an", which is often adapted into "ian". This is seen in denonyms like German, American, Ethiopian, and Bolivian, to name just a few. This suffix has its origins in the language of Latin. In this language, they have the suffix of "anus", which, I'm very aware to our modern ears, this suffix is quite silly when said in a vacuum. It's just, It's similar to a word we use today, which isn't a rude word, that's like the technical term for that thing. But anus. Happy New Year. I've already said anus on camera. Great. Should we carry on? This Latin suffix simply means pertaining to, so it's understandable why it would end up being used in demonyms, as these words exist to explain how things and people relate and pertain to certain places. Another commonly heard suffix for demonyms is ish. This is heard in words like English, Polish, Spanish, and Irish. This suffix is seemingly not Latin in origins, but instead Germanic. The word element has its origins in the Old Germanic ix, which means to be like or relating to. This once again adds up, and it makes sense why this suffix would be used in conjunction with place names to make demonyms. Though what's really interesting about ish is how we use it in other contexts. As its Germanic origins mean to be like, we've used it in another way too. We add this suffix to words we want to explain that something or someone is kind of like a specific thing. Like if someone asks you what colour their shirt is and you thought it kind of looked yellow, you could say it's yellowish. Likewise, if someone was behaving like a kid, you could call them childish. This use of ish directly relates to ish as a demonym, and I just think that's really cool. Like, we all kind of know this and we use it all kinds of ways. We're always making new words of ish. You can literally take any word, add ish to the end, and immediately people know what it means. Like, even like, oh, that's a bit self-indulgent. If you watch the video, that's a bit name explain-ish, and that would mean it's kind of like mine. It's a really clever suffix that can be added to pretty much any noun, any adjective, any verb. I don't know, but basically we use it all the time, and it relates directly to how we use it in demonyms as well. Cool, eh? Words. Words are fun. Someone should talk about words on the internet for a living or something. But before we continue, I want to say a huge thank you to my most recent patrons and super thanks leavers. So a huge thank to new patrons Griffin Loving Rolltide, Dexter Nova, Big John, and Emily McCann, as well as super thanks leavers Christine Brown 3359 and Imelda G 1394. Patreon is the best way to financially support Name Explain, and donating just $1 a month gets you ad-free videos, a chance to say what news is explained, an exclusive monthly newsletter, and your name at the end of these videos. All of that can be found at patreon.com/nameexplain, which will be linked down below. Conversely, if you want to just make a one-time donation, you can leave a super thanks directly on the comments section of any of my videos here on YouTube. They help out tremendously too. Thank you. But carrying on, we have the ease suffix, which can be heard in demonyms like Chinese, Japanese, Portuguese, and Congolese. Although in Congolese it's slightly adapted with that extra L in there for grammatical reasons, I guess. But yeah, it's there as well. Congolese, what a great word. But anyway, we once again have our friend Latin to thank for this one. The language had the other suffix of ensem, meaning belonging to / originating from. In Old French, this became is, which became ease in English as we know it today. Yeah, Latin is responsible for two of these suffixes, which might seem odd, but it makes a tad more sense when you realise that in their original Latin forms, they meant somewhat different things. The suffix is actually a really interesting one. We see it more in city demonyms than country ones like Londoner or New Yorker, as mentioned up top. This is actually another Germanic suffix and had its initial origins in meaning someone who does something. We still see it used today in this way, like how someone who farms is a farmer, or someone who paints is a painter. From here, the meaning and use kind of just extended over into demonym land too. I guess technically this means that Londoner is the title for someone who Londons for a living, whatever that means. Sounds exhausting. Gosh, imagine like your full-time job just being London. Or what do you do for a living? I London. I guess that's what Jay Foreman does. Hope you're watching, Jay. Make great videos. The final demonym suffix I want to cover is the I one. Think of words like Bengali or Iraqi. This one is a wonderful change of pace as it comes from neither Latin or German origins, but instead Arabic. In Arabic, this suffix exists solely to mean the place of, so it adds up why it'd be used in this situation, right? These are probably the most commonly heard suffix demonyms in English, but I'm left wondering, how do we decide which suffix gets applied to which form of demonym? And seemingly this is something of a grammar rule, but that isn't super strictly followed either. The suffix normally relates to how the place's name ends. Like places that end with an A tend to get the an or ian suffix, while places that end with land tend to get the ish suffix. But even these rules aren't followed too closely. Like Germany doesn't end with an A but still gets the an suffix, and Spanish doesn't end with land but it gets the ish suffix. Likewise, New Zealand's demonym isn't New Zealandish, but technically New Zealander, though no one actually used that one, which says Kiwi instead. Then we have the ease suffix, which doesn't follow much logical sense either, neither does the suffix. At least I is say primarily for parts of the world of Arabic influences, so there is logic in that one as well. And then we have all the outliers that don't use these kind of suffixes at all, like French, Dutch, and Kiwi, as already mentioned. While we can figure out where these suffixes come from, figuring out why one place gets one suffix and another gets a different one is way beyond my comprehension. But maybe you are much smarter than me, which isn't too hard to be in all honesty. If you have any ideas behind the logic of these demonyms and their suffixes, let me know down in the comments below. Also, please share a topic down below which we could cover in next Monday's Name Explain video. It could be about literally anything, and the topic can be as niche or broad as you like. I will then choose 3 of those topics and place them on a poll exclusively for my patrons to vote on. Then the winner from the poll will be the topic covered in next Monday's Name Explain video. You can vote in that poll as well as enjoy many other great benefits by visiting patreon.com/Name Explain, which we linked down below, and by donating just $1 a month. Thank you. Anyway, that's more than enough for myself, but don't forget to go follow me on Instagram where I Name Explain YT, and don't forget to join the Facebook page Friends of Name Explain, where you can chat with myself and many other name nerds. Okay all, take care. How are we looking? We're looking all clear there, looking nice and clear in focus. Oh, my light's a bit wonky, let's sort that out. Should we get on with this? Let's see if I remember how to do this. Let's begin. How things and people relate to certain places. Did I say that right? The language had how the place's name ends. Okay, all take care. We're done. I might be changing that outro because Instagram and Facebook aren't. I don't know. They're a bit weird, aren't they, these days? And Zuckerbot has announced that he's removing safety features from it, so I might have to try and change that up a little bit.